Welcome to the Smart Keys podcast, where we take a deep dive into the source materials you need to stay ahead and get truly well informed. Today, we're undertaking a strategic deep dive into, well, a really critical piece of the future of work: internal audio communications. We're unpacking the insights from the article, Internal Podcasting, keeping remote teams connected through audio updates. And this isn't just about, adding a cool feature. It's really about solving the communication crisis that just exploded with the shift to remote and hybrid models.
It really is. The attention market has fundamentally changed, and the data, well, it proves it. We know that by 2025, 42% of Americans were listening to public podcasts monthly.
Wow.
And that's a massive jump from just 12% about a decade prior. So this consumer preference, this habit, is now driving internal strategy.
So people are already listening.
They're already listening. And the research we're analyzing argues that companies can leverage this existing behavior to get dramatically higher employee engagement and measurable business efficiency, where, email and meetings are just failing.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mission for this deep dive is, I think, threefold. First, we need to understand the strategic why. Why do these internal shows consistently outperform traditional comms?
Right.
Second, we'll explore the high-return use cases you can adapt immediately. And then finally, we have to tackle the critical mechanics, the practical steps for planning, security, and production that separate, amateur audio from a professional enterprise-grade corporate channel. Let's start with the friction point every modern organization faces: the inbox.
It's just overwhelming.
But the fatigue is real. The research notes that nearly 3/4 of employees just skip those broad all-staff emails. That is a staggering rate of communication failure. It's killing the reach of urgent updates, HR messages, everything.
And that's exactly why audio breaks through the noise. And here's where it gets really interesting. Audio formats can achieve engagement rates up to 3 times higher than standard text.
3 times.
3 times. The key, as the article really emphasizes, is that they are fundamentally screenless.
I think that concept, screenless, needs a bit more elaboration. It's not just a buzzword, is it?
Absolutely not. The strategic value is all about asynchronous background consumption. I mean, think about who benefits most. It's not just the knowledge worker at their desk.
Right.
It's the field sales rep driving between appointments, the employee on the factory floor, or the frontline worker commuting. They can listen while doing other tasks, exercising, traveling.
So you're not adding another meeting to the calendar.
Exactly. It unifies messaging fast across global teams and different shift schedules without adding yet another required time-sucking meeting. But the core benefit, it goes far deeper than just distribution speed. It's about building trust and corporate culture. Well, when leadership voices, your CEO, your VPs, regularly share updates via audio, it immediately humanizes decisions. A person's voice conveys context, empathy, tone.
Things a static memo just can't do.
Precisely. That crucial context builds trust, which is so often the first casualty of rapid change or, remote work.
So if we sum up the core business case, we're moving beyond just convenience. Audio updates offer on-demand engagement that genuinely fits these busy, scattered schedules.
Yes.
They solve the time zone challenge. And maybe most valuable for justifying the investment, they provide actionable, deep analytics. Things like completion rates and episode heat maps.
So you can show stakeholders exactly what's resonating.
And crucially, what's being ignored. That brings us to the application layer. So what does this all mean for the professional who wants to actually do this?
Yeah.
The research doesn't just suggest a general news update. It outlines specific high ROI use cases.
Exactly. These shows need to be tailored to specific operational needs. Let's start with learning and development, or L&D. Instead of relying on these long-scheduled training sessions, you can create evergreen onboarding playlists and training modules. New hires can absorb core company history, policies, system guides, all during a walk or their commute.
And they can do it on their own time.
On their own schedule. They can pause, re-listen. It drastically increases knowledge retention while scaling your L&D resources much more efficiently.
And change management. That feels like a place where audio could truly shine.
Yeah.
In terms of reducing friction and anxiety.
Oh, absolutely. Instead of a single, often fear-inducing memo about a major shift, a reorg, an acquisition, you run a mini-series.
A mini-series. I like that.
That multi-part format is the strategic difference. A single announcement just causes panic, right? The fear of the unknown. But a 3-part series can dedicate 1 episode to the why, the strategic rationale, the second to the how, so timelines and next steps, and the third to a Q&A.
And you have to get that Q&A part right.
Yeah. Crucially, The source material notes the value of pairing this series with a Q&A pipeline, a simple Slack channel, or an intranet form to answer real employee-submitted questions. It just cuts down on internal rumors and misinformation immediately.
And finally, for morale and alignment, the focus shifts to more positive reinforcement, I assume.
Exactly. You can publish short, repeatable segments that showcase project wins, spotlight cross-team collaboration, or even feature voice of the customer clips.
Oh, that's smart, bringing the frontline insights to the rest of the company.
It reinforces priorities and makes employees feel seen. But the format and cadence have to be audience-driven. You wouldn't use the same approach for a global sales team as you would for your, executive knowledge workers.
Right.
The research advises that short, punchy 5 to 10-minute weekly updates are ideal for momentum, especially for frontline staff.
Whereas if you're targeting, say, deep dive knowledge workers or leadership, you can go longer.
You can. Deeper interviews, thought leadership segments, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Those better suit people looking for nuanced context on market trends or complex policy changes.
And we're seeing major global brands prove this isn't just theory. Look at American Airlines, tell me why. Its entire purpose is to address specific, potentially contentious employee questions head-on.
With transparency.
Yeah, and explain leadership choices.
And then there's Netflix's Wear Netflix. They don't just use it for quarterly goals. They interview engineers about their career paths, their culture.
And that's the key, right? That internal content is also a powerful recruiting asset. It strengthens their external employer brand by showing off their internal environment.
It's a dual-purpose comms strategy, a very smart one.
And for organizations with a huge global footprint like Deloitte, the alignment challenge is just massive. Their show, The Green Room, focuses specifically on big-picture thinking and values alignment across their worldwide workforce.
Ensuring a consistent message.
These examples really highlight that this is no casual project. It's a core strategic communication platform.
Now, this high engagement we've been discussing is fantastic, but it brings high risk.
Oh, yes.
If you get 10,000 employees listening to internal strategy, confidential IP, or sensitive policy updates, you have to talk about making sure only those 10,000 have access.
Which brings us to the most critical section, security.
Security is non-negotiable.
Especially when you're dealing with proprietary strategy or compliance. We need to distinguish clearly between a private feed and a truly secure enterprise channel.
Exactly. A private feed is basic. It's usually just an unlisted link, low friction, but zero control.
Anyone with the link gets in.
A secure feed goes much further because it uses active authentication. This means using tokens, or more commonly, single sign-on SSO, to ensure that only authorized, verified staff can access that content.
I want to focus on SSO for a moment because for an HR or IT professional, that's where the real value is. You mentioned deprovisioning. Can you clarify how that works?
It's the compliance feature that justifies the cost of a secure platform. Deprovisioning means that when a user's status changes in your system, when they leave the company, for example, their access to the audio feed is instantly and automatically revoked.
Oh, that's huge.
It mitigates the serious risk of sharing confidential IP with former employees. It's ironclad control. Platforms like UStudio, which is enterprise-focused, or Storyboard, they're built specifically for these tighter controls.
That security layer is what makes this a sustainable corporate tool. But let's pivot to the practical side. For the professional thinking about launching a show, the article provides an excellent production playbook.
And you don't have to break the bank starting out.
Right.
The first step is just standardization. You don't need a custom studio, but you have to move beyond that teeny sound of a laptop mic. Start simple. Get a dramatic quality upgrade with an entry-level USB mic like the Samson Q2U.
But if you're planning on executive speaking or doing high-stakes interviews, you need to think broadcast quality, especially with remote recording. The research recommends scaling up to a Shure SM7 DB paired with an interface like a Zoom H6. Why that specific mic?
That's a great question, and it's a strategic one. The Shure SM7 DB is a dynamic microphone.
Okay.
And dynamic mics are excellent at rejecting background noise. The traffic outside, the barking dog, all those chronic problems in remote settings. Using standard loaner packs ensures consistent quality, which is crucial for a professional sheen.
And speaking of remote recording, you need platform redundancy.
You do. Use a studio quality platform like Riverside that supports local recording. This is non-negotiable. It means even if your CEO's Wi-Fi drops, the pristine audio file captured on their laptop is safe.
It saves so many headaches.
And ruined interviews, yes.
And on the efficiency side, for internal comms teams on tight deadlines, the article highlights text-based editing. How much time does that really save?
It's a massive multiplier. Traditional editing means listening in real time. Text-based editing lets you look at the transcript, see where the host said or repeated a sentence, and just delete it from the text.
And the media file updates automatically.
Automatically. It lets teams spend, 80% less time scrubbing audio and more time refining the message.
Which leads to the fundamental strategic decision. Build versus buy. Do you DIY or do you outsource to an agency?
The complexity of the content really dictates the choice. Building in-house, well, it offers lower costs and creative control, assuming you have the talent and time.
But
outsourcing to an agency adds scale, speed, and consistent quality. This is often the safer choice when executive messages or brand reputation are on the line. The higher the stakes, the more critical that polish becomes.
so we can implement all these great systems, but to justify the budget, we have to prove value.
Exactly. To prove the show's strategic worth, you have to define KPIs that go way beyond simple download numbers. We have to track metrics that reflect actual engagement.
So let's talk about those metrics. Completion rates and heat maps. How do we turn that data into actionable content strategy?
Completion rates are your first signal. If you notice your audience consistently drops off at the 4-minute mark of a 10-minute CEO message.
That's a direct critique.
It is. It's a critique of the delivery or the content structure. You now know something needs to be changed. Then there are episode heat maps. They are invaluable. They don't just show where people skip, they reveal where people re-listen.
Oh, that's interesting.
If employees are repeatedly playing back a complex section about a new HR policy, it indicates two things. One, that topic caught their attention, and two, that the initial explanation was probably too complex.
So you need to follow up.
You need a follow-up. A dedicated FAQ episode, maybe? It gives you surgical insight into content demand.
And we should always connect those deep analytics with a continuous feedback loop. Use quick polls, built-in feedback tools.
To get that qualitative data.
Yep.
Then, and this is the key segment, those results, by department, by region, by job title, so you can tailor content to their specific needs.
And you have to close the loop.
Always close the loop. If employees ask for more Q&A, you announce in the next episode, based on your feedback, we're doubling the Q&A this week. It makes the show collaborative and keeps them invested.
So if we connect all these pieces to the bigger picture, the successful adoption of internal audio really relies on making listening easier, faster, and more engaging than reading.
100%. Companies that succeed treat their internal show not just as a distribution channel, but as a central humanized tool for asynchronous leadership and culture alignment. It's where employees know they will get the context that text just cannot provide.
The greatest takeaway here, I think, is recognizing the massive dual benefit this internal channel offers. Think back to Netflix, using its show for culture and recruiting. They're strengthening their employer brand and their talent pipeline at the same time, with content they already produced. So the question for you is, how could your company strategically use an internal podcast to not only make teams feel deeply connected, but to turn those teams into organic vocal ambassadors for the business? That is the ultimate ROI. That wraps up our deep dive into the strategic advantages of internal podcasting and how to implement it securely and efficiently.
We really encourage you, especially if you're wrestling with those security or production decisions, to review the full article by Felix Römer from smartkeys.org. It explores the equipment lists and planning templates in much greater detail.
Thank you for tuning in to the Smart Keys podcast. If you found these insights valuable, please subscribe and share this deep dive with a colleague who is grappling with internal communications challenges in this new era of work. You can find the link to the full source article, Internal Podcasting, Keeping Remote Teams Connected Through Audio Updates, right there in the show notes. We'll be back soon with another deep dive.